rolling, Ish.
We're live,
We're
baby.
live.
That's the kids say, right? We're live.
Yes. No, it's good to have somebody that's like experienced in podcasting.
I won't call it experience. I just talk.
You've been doing it for I've been checking your stuff out. You've been doing it for what, like 2, 3 years now?
No, I started September last year.
September last year.
I've wanted to do it for like 4 years. I just
Really?
never bit the bullet, for lack of better words.
What was the tipping point to get you to actually take action on it?
Just people influence. People kept like I'm the type of dude I like to have. I love talking. I love talking. I love learning about people.
Hmm.
So I'll be having these conversations with people, and then I'll catch myself talking to someone else and trying to reference the conversation. And I'm like, oh, dude, like the way you said it, you just had to be there. Like, yeah, I'm like, man, like I'm not doing it justice. And then one of my boys was like, dude, just start the podcast already.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, like I'm not a podcaster. I hate talking about myself. I hate being on camera. I don't want to be that dude. And they're like, all the things you've done, you're scared to talk in front of a camera and a microphone. And like when you put it in that perspective, I'm like, yeah, it sounds pretty dumb. Sounds pretty dumb. So I was like, I bought all the equipment, and that was my next roadblocks I was giving myself. Well, I gotta have the best mics. So I bought the best mics. And I'm like, well, you can't just have audio now. In today's day, everyone wants video.
Mm.
So I was like trying to save up for video. Like, what type of video? Researching video, bought the video. Well, I don't have a spot to do it. Well, I'm like, nah, man, I don't want to do it in my house. People seeing in my house and stuff. I got to get a backdrop. Bought a
Mm.
backdrop. And then next thing you know, I'm sitting there with everything you need to start a podcast. And I'm just like, I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
So I sat down, filmed the first episode. It was like 15 minutes. And I was like, oh man, that's a long time to talk with someone, like 15 minutes. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get many people on or whatever. I did that episode probably like 20 times.
Really?
I didn't like, I had a lint on my hat and then I mispronounced the word. And I'm like, nah, I got to do it all over. And then finally I reached a point where I was like, this next one, however it comes out, that's how it is. Like,
Isn't it wild how like you get to a place where you realize it's like the imperfection is what makes it perfect?
that's exactly what I learned throughout this process, throughout this over a year of doing this. I've gotten more feedback of people like, man, those raw conversations, and like
Hmm.
because it gets to know, like, when you over process something, you're taking away the merits and the personality and the whole reason
Hmm.
people like talking to you, and it's to listen to you and listen to the other person. You start editing that up, chopping it up, and put this overproduced episode out, you lose a lot of that authenticity.
Oh, dude, I could tell
So
you some stories. Like early on, I had a guy on and he said, like a bunch. It actually probably was just a bad guest, but I remember looking at the editing of it and it was just like every 30 seconds there was like a cut, and I was editing it and it sounded way smoother. But when you listen to it, something didn't, it was like looking at a girl that has a filter on her picture. You're like, something just doesn't seem right with it. You could tell he was almost his personality required the ums.
I say like a lot.
Do you?
And that was one of the things I noticed. And like even now, I'll watch it and I'm like, yeah, when I'm editing, I'm like, I'll keep doing it now. I I'm like, that's so annoying, that's so frustrating. But at the end of the day, that's how I talk in real life.
Hmm.
And, you know, that's how I'm going to translate it. So I've learned to just leave it. I remember one time, and this is the only time I do cut. I have a guest and he's looking at me like this, and I'm like talking. I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, hey, can we cut you? I gotta use the bathroom. Okay, bro. So I just sit there.
Just
And
kind of waiting.
the whole time I'm thinking to myself, like, do I leave this in here or do I
You could
cut
probably
it
play
out?
it in an interesting way where you're like,
Yeah. So I was sitting there. I'm like, yeah, I'll leave it. And then editing, I was like, well, people are listening in their cars, or like people like to move around and do stuff. No one's just sitting down and listening to a podcast.
Hmm.
So this is going to be taking time from people's days and stuff. So I cut it out
Yeah.
and just continued the conversation. That was one of those things I should probably edit that out, but everything else stays in.
Yeah.
Like people will cuss, but can I cuss on it? I'm like, yeah, it
It's
is.
got to just
Like,
be
yeah,
real. Yeah.
yeah. Like if someone doesn't connect with this episode and they don't like it, that's fine.
Well, I think that's too, once you get a catalog, like this is, I think episode 128. So I'm not cranking them out as much. I have the other podcast now, so that takes up a little bit more time. But when you have that many, it's kind of like if you don't like this one, there's a bunch of others you can listen to. And I recognize like when I only had four, it was like I got to get this fifth one right because if like there's not a whole lot of other stuff for people to go and listen to. But now I'm just yeah, I mean some of
Pumping them
the
out.
I've gone in with a whole preconceived thought around how I'm going to have a conversation with somebody, and then we'll get an hour in, and I'm like I haven't even asked him about the things, which is why I wanted him to have to be on the podcast in the first place. But you find out things about people when you sit down and talk with them.
Ain't that the truth? I'll do like a general like talking points
Hmm.
because I tend to gravitate. I like to just go off script a lot.
Yeah.
So like, this would be a way to like keep me honed in. And half the time we just get into such a raw conversation. I just completely disregard the talking points and we go from there. Like one example I still think about, and I still haven't asked him this question was Cowboy Eddie. When I had Cowboy Eddie on, the first question I was like, I gotta open with this question. Why why the cowboy hat? Right? Like, Cowboy
Yep.
Eddie, why the cowboy
And
hat?
he does, and by the way, if you don't know who Cowboy Eddie is, the first time I met him, I had heard people talking about Cowboy Eddie, and then I met him. I'm like, wait, that's not what I was expecting.
Oh,
You are not what I was thinking. Like big old dip in his lip, like big giant belt buckle. No, he is everything that is not a cowboy
yeah.
wearing a cowboy hat.
That's why I love the dude. He keeps you on your toes for
Yeah.
sure. And I can like connect with him because when I was younger, I had this perceived misconception of me. The world knows me better than I know myself, right? Like
Mm.
everyone has something to say. Um, and you hear things of people and stuff, and then you meet these people. "Oh, it's actually a pretty dope dude, like doing well for himself." And
Yep.
I was like, "Oh man, fuck what people think." Good dude, but I didn't ask him that question.
Get all the way through
Literally, we went through the
realize.
whole episode. I'm at the house, I'm editing it, and then I tell myself, like, I didn't ask him why the cowboy hat. I asked him why he got into fighting. I asked him about his businesses, what he does for fun. I asked him what his favorite color is. Then ask him about the cowboy hat.
That's funny.
I gotta call him after this. Like, yeah,
What? By
and
the
I did it
way,
again.
yeah,
Why the cowboy hat?
that's awesome. So I've been like I said, I've been watching your stuff for a while, and then now been going to a lot more of the 247 events because of my things I'm doing with Lucas. I've seen you there. I didn't realize. So, are you still a police officer? Or you were a police officer? Like, what's the kind of law enforcement background that you have?
So I appreciate you for listening to the episode. The episodes that means a lot to me. Still a police officer. Yeah, it's one thing I do. Pays the bills, puts food in my mouth. And I enjoy doing it. It's one of those things that it's going to take a lot to just give it up. And people are like, "Whoa, what you like?" I also do real estate. Why don't you just do real estate? What? Being a cop is just something I truly enjoy doing. It's different every day. I'm dealing with all kinds of people, learning all kinds of walks of life. And as cheesy and corny as it may sound, you know, I'm I'm impacting people's daily lives, and that's something I like to do in my off time and personal time.
Mm.
Like I like to be there for people, and this is the way I get to do it at a bigger scale.
Hmm.
So I grew up on the other side, not really understanding cops and kind of having a little bitterness towards them. And then once I got into the role, I was like, wow, man, I understand both sides of the token here. And it's not all black and white. There's so much gray in the sense of like some of the best cops I've met are people who've been through stuff and dealt with
They can
stuff.
put themselves into the shoes of the
Yeah.
person that they're interacting with.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we have a job to do. But how you do that job can dictate an array of things.
Man, I think police, and I'm not in law enforcement, but I had a lot of law enforcement interactions, and some because of my own stupidity, others because of parents and domestic and just like stupid shit. Like the first time my wife met my mom, and I love you, mom, but my mom got arrested because my dog attacked a neighbor, and then my mom got into it with the police when the police got called. It's just like my mom's always the person that's had something to say, but we've had police officers that were like de-escalation, came in, tried to understand. And then there was other guys where I'm just like, I've lost respect for you because you clearly don't have perspective. So yeah, I think cops are like everybody else. There's a lot of great ones. And then there's a couple assholes that give everybody else a bad reputation and a bad name. But it's, my overall experience with police has always been very positive.
Well, and that's exactly it. It's easy to watch a video or especially where I work, a lot of people don't deal with police officers, right? It's like an affluent area. We cover a wide area, so we got like best of both worlds, for lack of better words. But when someone who doesn't interact with police officers, they have the most to say usually when they see these videos. And but at the end of the day, we're people.
Yeah.
We're people. We get hired. It's a job, and unfortunately, some people treat it as such, a job. I go to work, I get paid, and I go home. You know, and it's kind of sad because in this industry, you have direct impact of other people's lives. It's not just a job. It's who you are and something you need to take pride in.
Is that a conversation that you have amongst other police officers?
Absolutely.
Like in like, is there kind of like these are the guys that don't take this the same way that I take this, and like how is that interaction inside of us in a you know a,
I so I mean, if you know me, I'll check you. I'll check you if you're fucking up or wrong is wrong or whatever.
hmm,
I don't care where it is. Being a cop is no different. Fortunately, I work with an amazing group of guys and girls, so that's not something I have to do internally. But I've worked alongside, whether assisting people or something, and yeah, you'll get checked if you're conducting yourself in a manner that I don't agree with. I'm gonna let you know, especially if I'm there.
hmm.
Like I'm also associated with this now, so you're gonna walk a certain way. Um, or risk the wrath of Ish, which I don't know if that means anything, but no, yeah, we definitely have these conversations. It's even with the use of force, right? Like I'm one of our defensive tactics instructors. This is how I one of my biggest passions is training and learning, and I tell our guys in the beginning, before a lot of guys retired, I told them like, how you like I'm gonna train you to, be adequate in training, be able to handle yourself, keep everyone safe. I was like, at the end of the day, your attitude is what's going to dictate if this happens or it doesn't happen,
Hmm.
if you have to use this or not. And sometimes you have no choice. But if you can avoid going hands-on, if you can avoid a negative interaction, why not
It's with
try?
anything, right?
Yeah,
Like
like why not try?
the people that I mean, being in this martial arts world, I don't know too many guys. There's a few psychopaths, but most of the guys that could clean the floor with most anybody on the street are the guys that are least likely to get into a fight because they understand violence.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you get, and it's a metaphor for life too, right? Just because you're not nice if you're incapable of violence, that doesn't make you a nice
Mm.
person. That makes you like unable. That makes you inadequate. Like just because you can't commit violence or defend yourself doesn't make you a nice person. Some of the most evil, devious people I've met couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag.
Mm.
And some of the coolest, most laid back, give you the shirt off their back, are the dudes who've committed extreme acts of violence, whether in the military or contracting.
Hmm.
And it just goes to show you, like, just because you don't commit, and I say violence, I mean the ability to conduct violence, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you train MMA, if you've done certain levels of work in the government that requires you to do that, yeah, like just because you're unable to do violence, inadequate to do violence, doesn't mean you're a nice person.
Is that fear on the flip side with police? Do you feel like that's a big driver when you see these negative interactions? It's because of a police officer that's scared or that's
Absolutely.
not, it's like they're not trained. I think a lot of people see a cop, they just immediately assume, oh, they're extremely qualified and trained with a firearm.
Isn't
They're
that sad?
extremely qualified and trained with hand to hand. So when they see a cop doing it, they're like, well, they're using the training that they were given in a negative way. And I look at it, and most often I see a guy that probably hasn't fired his weapon in way too long, probably hasn't been athletic, hasn't had hands on another man. And now, oh shit, this is like it's been 4 or 5 months since I've really had anybody step to me. And what am I going to do? I get scared and I do something stupid.
It's 100% fear, 100% fear and complacency, right? Like we wear a shiny badge that tells you who we are. We have this piece of metal on our hip that is supposed to be a show of force, right? Like when, you know, most of the time when a cop shows up on scene, people are listening. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want punitive stuff to happen to
Mm-hmm.
me. So yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, keep my mouth shut. Like that was me. I was getting in fights growing up every day. I was doing some shit I can't talk on podcasts about. But like when a cop showed up on scene, it was either run or play the game. Yes,
Yep.
sir. No, sir. Nope. Don't want no issues. No, no. Because you understand what that cop showing up means. In today's age, people don't give a damn, you know, but there's still this group of people who believe when I show up, people are going to listen to me. Okay, what if they don't? Now what? What do you have? That's when you get the officers raising their voice, and now they have to like assert dominance in the wrong way. You know, like you scream at me, I know what I'm capable of. You scream at me, I'm gonna look at you like, oh, chill, relax. Why you so grouchy today?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you scream at other people, maybe you get that fear
They're
response.
they're anticipating something bad's going to happen.
Yeah, so I think it's fear. If you don't train, and here's the thing, there's this thing we call lawful but awful. Unfortunately, if a cop's life in an interaction, if you're threatening his life, he may be or may not be justified to use lethal force. We're trained to go one level of force above what we're encountered, right? Because if we go below, we become overpowered, and then bad things happen. Because when you call a cop, that's the person solving the issue. If that person can't solve the issue, what is there? Like you called this person because you couldn't solve it. This person comes can no longer solve it. So if you go hands on with me, you start punching me and hitting me, I can escalate the force. Taser, baton, pepper spray, whatever it may be. I'm on my back. You're punching me in my face. I'm in fear for my life. I may be justified at that point to use lethal force, which is sad because if you get someone who trains and you're on the ground rolling with someone,
And they feel
they're
threatened.
not going to resort to that level because they don't feel threatened.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get someone who goes home, opens up his Oreos, his milk, puts on Netflix, all this is a job to him, shows up, answers his fraud calls, goes home, never deals with anything, doesn't train, doesn't do anything. You put him in that situation, he's going to be in fear for his life. He's tired, he's exhausted, he's getting the bricks beat out of him. His vision is closing, his adrenaline's rising.
Mm-hmm.
Same situation, two different people. One would be justified, one may not be.
And I
Or
agree,
yeah,
right?
well, both would be justified, but one is avoided and one and
And
another isn't.
that's a good point, right? Because there's been situations where I've seen where I'm like, he's justified in what he did, but it should never have happened, right? And I think people live in this world where there's not enough nuance where they look at it and it's like, oh, that's why cops shouldn't have guns. That's why police shouldn't be responding to domestic. It should be a counselor. Or it's like, no, that guy should have listened. He was justified for shooting him,
But
but
did it have to
bad
go?
cop, poor training, actually need more investment into
Let's get
skills.
spicy. Let's get spicy. The George Floyd incident,
Mm,
right? Did that cop mean to kill that person?
no,
But in that time, it was he murdered him, he killed him, and I caught a lot of shit there in that time
I can
because
imagine.
I shit on both of them. Like, dude was hopped up on drugs. Now we're responding to a situation. That person is our responsibility. Their safety also being a part of that.
Hmm.
He does what he does, whatever. He's on him, knee on his back, knee on his neck. Could the dude breathe? Yes. Studies have showed, or the researchers showed, yes, he was able to breathe. However, he was experiencing what people call excited delirium. As a cop, we're trained, I know we are, we're trained to be aware of that. So he's on him, justified. Dude's chilled out now. Why are you still on him? And you cannot argue with me. And this is what I was telling people. You can't argue with me. The cop was in fear for his life and doing what he had to do when his hands are in his pocket as he's kneeling on this dude's neck.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just not an argument you can make to me. You can probably to a lawyer, to a judge. I don't know. I don't get paid the big bucks, so I don't determine that. To me, I wouldn't. How could you argue? Oh man, he was thrashing around. Why are your hands in your pockets? Why aren't you basing out? Why aren't you trying to gain control? As soon as you get that form of compliance, roll him onto his side because of this excited delirium. He starts to fight again, roll him back. But at that point, he should have rolled him over, talked to him. Hey, what's going on? You feeling something? All right, we'll get the medic. Like, literally, we go to calls and someone's like, well, I don't feel good now. Like, to avoid going to jail. Nope, I don't feel good. I'm getting lightheaded. I'm going to pass out. And they'll give you that look like, I'm going to pass out. We're told, hey, and this was before all this shit happened. Just to be safe, let's roll medics, get them cleared medically, and then we'll do what we have to
My
do.
job isn't to be the judge. I'm here to control the situation.
Control the
Now it's
situation.
controlled. You need, all right, fine.
I'll call the medics. Yeah, I'll call the medics. I literally had a dude so pissed off at me because he decided to do some shit. I show up to his house. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Why are you here? I was called, bro. I get paid the same whether I'm sitting in my car drinking coffee or I have to deal with this. I would choose the latter. Like, I'm not choosing to mess. I don't wake up in the morning and go, whose fucking day am I gonna ruin? I get paid the same, bro, to do nothing. You think I want to be fucking with you? No, I'm here because I was called. Kicks the door, breaks his foot, like instantly a knot on top of his foot. I'm like, what did that solve? He's like, oh, I think I broke my foot. You want me to call medics? No. I think you should have medics look at it. Oh, you can't tell me what to do. You're right. I'm not telling you what to do. I warned you not to do this again. You acknowledged I was gonna leave. You kicked the door. Now you got a broken foot. Kind of have a responsibility to check on that. I don't want you to check on it. Okay. Well, funny story. Like an hour or two later, one of our guys is running someone else to the hospital. The dude's in there in a wheelchair.
Didn't want to give you the
Didn't want to
pleasure.
give you the pleasure. I'm like, all right, bro, cool, whatever. Like, it's not our, and that's the thing. Like, there's egos in policing. There's egos in everything,
Yeah.
right? There's egos in policing. So when your ego's bruised, like people tend to double down, right? Like think when you're talking to a child and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, try this. And they're like, no, they want to try something. Like you're eating vegetables or something. Like, oh, I want it. And you're like, no, you're not gonna like, no, I want it. You give it to them. You can tell by their face they hate it. Like, do you like it? And they go, yeah, yeah. They double down. They hate it, but they can't
Mm-hmm.
tell you that you're right. It's the same with like some people, not just policing and everything. Like cop shows up on scene, you think this dude did something, and he's telling you, oh, that wasn't me, that was me. We hear that 1,000 times, right?
Mm.
So we have to investigate. Like whether it was you or not, we have to rule you out. Either we're ruling that you did it or we're ruling you out. I'm talking to you not by accident. But some cops would be like, I told you I ain't fucking do it. Well, now this cop is pissed off that he looks dumb, so he has to now increase the situation or
Find a
exaggerate.
reason to justify why he
Not
was.
even justify. I'm not talking like crazy like that, but just like interactions, right? Not illegal, but
Sure.
unethical. Like the dude has been proven that he wasn't here. Why are you yelling at him? Why are you screaming at him? Now, why are you trying to confiscate his phone because he's recording you? Like it's pettiness. Like, bro, you're wrong. You're wrong. And I'm the first dude to be like, hey, my bad, bro. That I came to you. You matched the description. Rolled you out. But
Mm.
yeah, motherfucker, did it. Yeah, cool. It is what it is. Like,
Have a great day.
yeah, have a good day.
Yeah.
And they keep going. And I literally tell them, why you don't want to talk to me? Why are you still interacting with me? I told you you're free to go. I'm going this way. Why are you following me with your phone? Like, we can have a conversation. Just get my good side.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, but I think that all boils down to training, right? Like, if you train, you instill this confidence in you because you become equipped, right? Like you walk different, you talk different, you're less likely to resort to violence if you have good intention.
hmm
So like when that dude starts yelling at you, you're just like, all right, bro. Like, why are you screaming?
Mm.
I'm here to talk to you. Why are you screaming at me? And that's how I approach it. Like, dude, people be rabid, like foaming at the mouth, just, what's your name back? Bro, here's my business. I'll do you one better. Here's my business card, my email. You want to call me during the day when I'm working? Feel free. Like, well, bring your supervisor. Well, I am the supervisor today, so how can I help you? Like that, it's just like you don't gotta entertain it. Like we're supposed to be at the end of the day, we're humans, and but we're supposed to be held to a higher standard.
How much of your training is put into your own hands? I mean, I'm sure the force
In
provides with
policing,
a lot of it, but is a lot of it really up to you to maintain physical fitness? Like I know one of my training partners, his name's Scott. He's an officer at Northern Regional, big guy. But he got involved through there's a program that we had that was like Adopt a Cop, I think is what it was. And so he got involved, and now I mean he's a high level blue belt. That's we talk sometimes. I'm like, if you had, he's like, oh dude, yeah, no, like there's some times where this has benefited me tremendously.
so are we talking generally, or are we talking my personal department?
So I would say maybe generally
Generally, probably 90% of training's on you.
on you. What about you guys? And where are you at? Are you Hampton?
So I won't disclose where I'm
Okay.
at on podcast, but my department heavy on training. Heavy on training. We just had a training meeting last night to schedule the next year.
Oh wow.
Um, he like we'll do firearms 3 times in the year. One's a tack shoot, one's the mandatory. And here's the problem with training, right? You're carrying a firearm, you need to be trained in it, right? Like you don't want to just give a gun to someone and be like, hey,
Hmm.
go out there. Well, the majority of training for police departments are the annual qualifications. What training is that? I'm shooting a piece of paper that's not moving from a fixed position in a fixed environment with no threat. If you can't pass that,
Yeah, you shouldn't have a gun,
you
period.
shouldn't be a cop.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be a cop. Not have a you shouldn't be a cop. But the majority of places, and I don't want to speak for all the places, but the majority of places I'm aware of, that's their annual training. The the qualifications that you have to do every year. That's what they allot as training. Bro, that's sad. That's not training at all.
Hmm.
That's a test. That's like you're gonna be a lawyer and you want to make sure you're up to speed on everything. And they're like, hey, we want to make sure you're doing your best. Every year we're gonna test you.
Hmm.
It's
Oh,
like,
I feel my skills with a handgun deplete if I haven't been to the range in a month.
yeah, so the
It's
majority of that training's on us, but our department we'll do that. We'll do a tack shoot, we'll do a night shoot, we'll do off duties. The last shoot we did was in and around a car. We shot through a car to see, if someone's shooting at you, what
Mm.
the best use is cover, how to rounds impact on different parts of the vehicle, how to maneuver around a vehicle, someone's advancing from a vehicle, like all kinds of stuff. DT, we have several defensive tactics training, and then we have a monthly grappling club. Every month, first Sunday of the month, people come, we do scenarios, or we'll do a GST curriculum or a EFC curriculum, or depending on how people are feeling, then the last hour, open roll. Like we use that time to try something new. Like if someone's like, "Hey man, I saw this on YouTube. Like, how would you guys have handled it?" Or like, can we workshop this? We'll break it down. We'll go through scenarios. We'll work it. We'll do like it's this like think lab.
Hmm.
But no other department I know of does stuff like that. So I'm very fortunate. But a
Where's
lot,
that? Does that come from the top? Like, is that a chief led thing, or like how do you get into a department that has that level of focus on it?
I think your leadership has to have a level of trust in the people they've instilled in certain positions, right? So
Hmm.
I'm a defensive tactics instructor, also a firearms instructor. I get together with our team, right? Our DT team gets together. Hey, this is the best course to get people right in this trajectory. Firearms guys get together. This is the best course to get. Boom. Our DT team went up to our chief and was like, "Hey, we want to instill a grappling club, completely voluntary, right? Because a lot of the training comes to politics and money, right? Oh, we can't afford to pay overtime or give you
Hmm.
time off Oh, what if someone gets hurt? There's a liability. It's like,
But
what
if
if
there's a
someone
group
gets,
of guys that are like, well, we don't give a shit. Like, we just
yeah.
want to make sure this is cool, that we can go and do this. And
Well, the sad thing is, what if someone gets hurt? Like, obviously, we're going to limit that. We're going to
yeah.
mitigate that. Like, we're responsible. But, like, what if? Don't you want your people training? Like, what if they go to the street and can't defend themselves and now you have to pay for a funeral and tell their family, oh, we didn't want him to stub his toe during DT, so we didn't do any training throughout the year. But
Hmm.
now your husband and father or wife and mother are dead because we just didn't want to risk liability. How's that liability?
Hmm.
There's a lot of red tape when it comes to policing, and the same for fitness. Like if you do and it's so stupid, you do a yearly fitness test that's mandatory, right? You would think that's required in a police department. It's not, not here anyway. I want to make sure you stick to this fitness standard. Well, if you make that mandatory, now you got to give them mandatory time to work out. Why? You should be doing that on your own.
Hmm.
Like that's something you should already be doing. You're doing a job that requires you to be in good shape, good mental health, good spirits, right? If I come to work pissed off and I can't navigate that and not put my stuff on other people, you're not doing anyone service, right?
Hmm.
You show up to a call and you're pissed off because your old lady left with the dog in the truck. Like you're taking it out on these people. Like if you can't manage your emotions, you can't like it, there's no
No,
I'm gonna piss a
there's
lot of people off,
no, but
but
it's all of those little things that add up and that do impact things. And people look at it so surface level without understanding, like like I always say, and this is so oversaid, but you walk up to a car at night that's tinted out, you don't know what's on the other side of that window. Like just the fact you figure like a police officer has to be running at like 7 or 8 all the time. And it's the same reason you probably see a lot of road rage, right? You're driving a car, everything's going really fast, even if you don't realize it because you're just like driving down 79. It's like you have a heightened sense of awareness because things are happening. And so somebody cuts you off. It's like, Jesus, I'm driving a car, I'm doing 70 miles an hour. Like, F you, dude. Like, what the fuck? It's the same. I can't imagine, especially when you see what's on the news all the time. It's like you walk up to a car at 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't know who's inside of it. The music's loud, they won't roll the window down, it's tinted out, and you're like, license and registration, right?
yeah, so we're always behind the eight ball when it comes to situations, right? Because we're coming to a situation we have no idea about.
Mm-hmm.
And the person we're going to address, they know if they want to kill you. They know if they want to give you their license.
Mm-hmm.
Like they already know, or they have an idea. We have no clue, right? So I show up, I pull you over, right? Like I'm driving, you run a stop sign. Happen in front of me. Everyone, and if I don't stop them, the whole community calls. This guy ran a stop sign, and that's another thing. Like people play a role in all this. You don't. If you only knew the calls we deal with, people will call the station. We saw an officer on this street, and someone ran a stop sign in front of him. He did nothing. My taxpayer dollars are going to nothing, right? So if we do nothing, we're worthless, not worth anything. If we stop the car, we're harassing, where it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. So I stopped the car, right, for a stop sign, let's say, hypothetical. He ran a stop sign in front of me. I'm gonna go up to him and say, hey, you ran a stop sign. And I'll tell people this. I'm stopping you because you did in front of me. Like, I would look like a real asshole if I don't stop you. It's gonna be a warning. You'll be good to go. Right? That's
Mm-hmm.
my how I envision this encounter going. I don't know, the dude in the car just kidnapped some kid, killed the kid's mom, and is on the run.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. I'm showing up to the car, anticipating getting coffee in 5 minutes. Hey, sir, how you doing today? Boom, presents a gun, shoots me, kills me.
Yeah.
Like, so we have to approach situations, and it sounds dramatic, it sounds crazy, but like, we have to approach a situation in a way that is cordial, respectful, but if needed, I can escalate to where I need to be to dissolve the situation. Right? That's why cops show up. They walk up slow. They're like, they peer through the window. You shouldn't be standing in front of the window. Like those are things you should be doing every single time because you don't know if this is Susie, who, at 80 years old, decided she wants to go for a drive. She hasn't driven in 10 years, but today's the day she wants to go for a drive and ran a stop sign. Super sweet lady. Or if it's someone who just did some awful shit and they're like, do I kill him? Do I take off? Like, what do I do? What do I do? They're panicking. They're like, they got me. They got me. They
Hmm.
ran a plate or they know who I am. They got me. And the cop showing up's just like, maybe I'll get cream in my coffee. No, I'll take it black today. Like you never know what you're getting.
Hmm.
So it's just funny. Like, policing is so funny to me.
It's what bothers me. I'm a very much like a libertarian, kind of independent, like leave me alone. If I'm not bothering you, don't bother me. But I see these people that do the like won't they'll crack their window, like I don't need to give you my license, like all this shit to prove a point, or you'll see them standing outside of a police station videotaping and they'll come out and be like, "Hey, like what are you taping? Why do you need to ask? You work for me." Like I get what you're trying to do, but when you hear somebody like yourself talking about all of the little tiny things that you deal with as a law enforcement officer, it resets my brain into like, why are you being an asshole?
Well, and that's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. Like training aside, everything aside, treat people with respect,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, what do they call them? Like auditors? You,
First Amendment honors. And
First
I've
Amendment.
ran into those dudes. And I say dudes because I've never had a chick do that. These dudes just, I don't know, must be a dude thing. But like we get a call, and here's the thing people don't understand. If we get called, we have to show up. Whether to be like, no, you're doing nothing wrong, bro. You're good. We just had to show up because people who pay my salary called me to investigate this situation.
And you get some guy that's trying to get views on his YouTube
Yeah, and
channel.
I'm just like, hey,
Yeah.
but here's the thing, I don't entertain that bullshit, bro. Like, I'm a grown ass man. I'm not gonna fucking argue with you on the side of the road about YouTube. You know, so like, you get the dude, harassing me. What are you doing here? Well, I didn't even say a word yet. Like, what's up, man? I'm Ish. What's your name? I don't have to give you my name. No, you don't. I thought we were two dudes just talking. My bad, homie. That's what we're gonna start off. And it becomes something that it doesn't need to be.
Hmm.
You can have the same situation. Hey, Amish, what's your name? Hey, I'm George. Hey, what's up, George? We got called here because you were filming and people don't know if you're filming their kids or something. You're trying to take over the bank, or you're just exercising your First Amendment speech. I'm exercising my First Amendment speech. Cool, man. Glad we can take care. Can I get your name for my report? I don't have to give you that. You're right, you don't. It would just help me with my report. That's fine. I'll say you just didn't want to identify yourself. Boom,
Yeah.
done. But then there's egos, right, on both sides.
Hmm.
I don't have to give you my name. Cop. Yes, you do. Not really. Like, did he commit a crime yet? Like, technically, he's being investigated because it's a like everyday people. And this is the thing, everyday people don't just get up and start recording everyone in their face and recording government buildings, and especially with everything happening nowadays, like
Hmm.
that, I would say that's enough to be suspicious. Like that's not something you see every day. You know, we get people who call because there's a car parked in front of their house. Like, oh, on the road? Yeah.
Give it 10 minutes, folks.
Well, I'm like, okay, you called the police. Yeah, could you look into it? What am I looking into? The car's parked legally. What's in front of my house? Okay. Maybe I'm not picking up what you're putting down. Like, has someone been threatening you lately? And this is okay. No, no, no one's threatened me.
Hmm.
You live in a neighborhood. There's gonna be people parked in front of your house. Like, well, I got shit from this person because I wouldn't tow the car from in front of her house. It's legally parked. What do you want me to do? Like if you parked in front of someone's house because you're at your friend's house and there was no parking in his driveway or something, and you walk out and the police tow your car, we're motherfuckers for that.
Hmm.
Oh, they're authoritarian. They're just stealing my personal property. But because it's on your house, you want to tow it because I don't know. I
Yeah,
just that it's funny. I take it, dude. But I love it though. I love it because every day is a new day.
I can imagine. Now, there's a part of me that envies the fact that that's kind of what you get to do. My brother actually just today's his first day in basic training, and I was talking to him. He was on his way to San Diego. He was
Marine?
gonna
Is he Marine?
no, he's actually joining the Air Force. So he was going to San Diego. He lived in LA, was driving to San Diego and then flying to San Antonio. So he
See, that's an experience in and of itself,
I
man.
was like, there's a part of me that kind of is like, I'm too old to join. And that would have been a lot of fun, like I was like, enjoy this because I think you're going to look back on this whole experience and be,
Dude, I tell my little brother, man, he joined when he was, I believe, 18. Joined the Marines. I'm like, bro, you're single, no kids, no responsibilities, no debt.
hmm
Bro, go. The dude's been to, I think, Japan, or he was going to Japan. He's like, you're traveling the world.
Yep.
You're doing shit that
Fun
men
stuff.
want to do,
Yep.
shoot guns, blow shit up. Like,
Jumping out of
yeah, like
airplanes.
this
Yeah.
is like this is what we were meant to do. Instead, we're stuck in offices and we wonder why we're so pissed off all the time.
Yep. No, absolutely. He's excited. He's pumped. He was sick of LA, wanted out of there, wanted to do something with a little bit more meaning.
Bro, LA's trash,
Yeah,
man.
it
I've
is.
been to LA. I love it. Like when I've never been to LA, it's like, bro, LA, we gotta go to LA. We gotta go to LA.
Yeah.
All the movies talk about it, shows, you're like LA, LA.
Then you get there and
Then you get there, like, this is LA?
yeah.
And they're like, well, what you're referring to is LA County, like the surrounding.
Yeah.
You don't mean like downtown.
Even that's gotten sketchy. I mean,
Yeah.
so I have a brother that lives out in Orange County, and my youngest brother lived there until he just enlisted. My mom was out there for a while. There was a point in time, 2018, 2017 to 2019, I was flying out to LA every 3 or 4 weeks. I had a podcast out there with my brother. We had a cannabis company. We were doing all kinds of shit.
That's where the money is, bro.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. A
where
lot of
the money
money
is.
and
A lot
a
of
lot of
red tape, a lot of
a
politics.
lot of shady business and shady people and just things now that like we think of situations. I'm like, wow, man, like
You know what's
oh,
funny about the cannabis industry? I think it should be legal. I'll go on the record and say that. But like the government tried so hard to just like punish people and
hmm
unfortunately the police is arm of the law, so they use the police to do this shit.
yep,
And now these companies use the police to protect it.
yeah. Isn't it hysterical?
Like doing transports, like we're transporting a van full of money and weed. I'm like, dude, if I wasn't in uniform doing
Yeah.
this, I'd go to prison.
That was my little brother that left for the Air Force. That was so he worked for a brand out there in California, and they had him like he was kind of like the Swiss Army knife for them, and he got to a point where he was like, Justin, they've got me going to a dispensary in downtown LA that owes them $20,000, and I'm going to pick it up in my car, and they're giving me 20 grand in cash, and I'm driving it back to and he's like, every time I go, I'm thinking these people probably called a friend of theirs to wait around the corner to come and rob me, so they could get their
Oh,
$20,000
I
back. And
wouldn't
he's
be
like,
surprised.
he was petrified. And finally he was just like, I can't keep
Oh,
doing
you can't carry a gun in LA because it's
exactly.
guns are bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, guns are bad.
And he's like, I'm stepping over homeless people. It's just like
Here's the
it's
epitome of LA. You ready?
yeah.
I forget what it's called, Mama Mia's or Mama's something. This nice restaurant in LA, rooftop bar overlooking the city, a beautiful sight. I got a $30 drink in my hand, and I look down to the street, and there's a homeless dude whacking off on the sidewalk. I was like, this is LA. This is LA. I'm here, so fucking entitled with my $30 bevy,
hmm
and I look over, and outside of this restaurant, like, people are ignored.
It's wild.
Like that's the epitome of LA.
I was out there before it got really bad, and I refuse to unless I've gone out there a couple times, but usually I'm down in like Long Beach or Orange County where my brother lives.
Muscle Beach.
Yeah, right. Down in it's so beautiful down when you get
Yeah.
down to like Laguna area.
I love Laguna Beach, Newport Beach. I
That's it.
just
My brother lives in between Laguna and Newport, like right there in like Irvine
the
area.
one rides down that, right?
Yeah,
How,
yeah, it's beautiful.
bro, every time I listen to Cali Pop sometimes. All I envision is like me on a bike
Just cruising down there.
cruising down the one. Like, no,
I rented
maybe
one of
one day.
those with the two wheels in the front and the one wheel in the back.
What are those called?
Like
Yard?
Polaris,
Polaris.
those Polaris things. And we went down to Laguna, and I take it down there, and I came back up on, I don't know, one of the 405 or one of these highways. It's like 6 lanes across. There's 2 semis that probably haven't been inspected in 7 years. And I'm there with a freaking helmet, and my brother's like, "Get me off this fucking
Yeah,
highway, dude!
dude.
Like, this is
Dude, those
wild."
highways are well, they call them freeways.
Yeah,
That's another thing. I'm like, freeway?
yeah,
Like, yeah, highway you pay for.
yeah.
I don't pay for 79. I call that a highway.
Dude, and then everybody's doing, I mean, the crazy shit is the bikes that are splitting lanes out there. Like you're
Dude,
sitting
that's
there and
wow.
I've watched some of these videos on Instagram. I'll go down a rabbit hole. Some of these people, I'm like, you're an asshole. But my hands start sweating watching them. They're doing like 100 miles an hour
Dude,
between
splitting
two
cars.
cars. It's like, what the fuck?
And then you're sitting there driving in your lane. You're like, man, if I veer, what if a bike comes in? Like,
Yeah.
whose fault is that? He's splitting lanes, but I'm also in my lane.
He tells me all the time. He's like,
Dude, that's wild.
the one he was like, I was driving down the highway, a bike wrecked, and the guy got stuck in the overpass sign, like where the big green sign above the highway. He's like, he got thrown and was hanging up inside of that
He was
thing.
moving.
Yeah,
He was moving.
he's like, it's like an everyday occurrence out here. You'll just be like, oh yeah, some dude wrecked his car, wrecked his bike doing 130. Just no big deal. Just
Then
another day.
over there, they make you move off the highway. Here, you get into a fender bender to like calling the police. I need a report right now.
Yeah,
Blocking all the lane. Why don't you just pull over to the side? I want you to document.
yeah.
No, I'm telling you, I sound like petty from being a cop, but it's just stuff I've been dealing with
Well,
recently,
I'm sure
and I
you
laugh
probably see a
about it.
lot of it,
I just laugh about it.
especially around here.
Oh, dude, I'm like, but then I gotta check myself, right? Because ego plays. I'm like, if at the end of the day, the worst call I go on is two neighbors fighting because one neighbor mowed a foot into their yard, that's a fucking good day.
You've been called out here on me. I got the guy. I'll introduce you to the guy across the street. I blew my leaves into a pile too close to the road, and now they're blowing into his yard. I swear, I swear.
So police deal with this shit. Like
Oh, the police were called. The
like,
police were
you
called.
show up and you're
you
like,
got to be fucking kidding me.
"Hey, I'm here because I was called," but I
Yeah,
have
he
no
laughed
idea
at me.
why.
He goes, he's mad. I'm like, is it? I said, honestly, am I in the wrong by blowing I'm trying to put him up here so I can bag him and put him by the side of the road. I don't want to be walking up and down my driveway. Like, he's like, you can fucking blow him wherever the hell you want, dude.
Yeah,
Like, as
like,
long as it's on your property, I don't care. I'm like, I don't want to be a bad neighbor, but I'm like, at this point, I kind of feel like just blowing him even closer to the road as
so
long
think
as I'm
about
legally
this.
allowed to
We're
do it.
dealing with stuff like this. We're dealing with active shooters. We're dealing with car crashes. We're dealing with, and this isn't a pity party, but like, what I try to tell people is just if you can try to understand, maybe it'll help you diffuse the situation. Because right
Mhm.
when I was doing what I was doing and I was on the opposite end, I never wanted to fucking escalate the situation because I'd go to jail.
Yep.
Like it's not a power thing. It's like, let me just chill. Let me cool it off because like this isn't a battle I want to get into right now. I don't want to go to jail.
Mhm.
If it requires me to just keep my mouth shut and call him sir or man, I'm not saying that's what you need, but like I'm just
Why?
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
chilling. Like I'm chilling. I don't want to bring up more heat to myself. Like, but today people like want to escalate the situation, and you're just like, why?
It's social media.
Like, what are you gaining?
Everybody's gotten this enhanced sense of voice, which is good in a way, but it's way more detrimental than I think it is beneficial. Everybody has an opportunity to now have an opinion where they didn't have to have an opinion before. And they get reinforced because they live in these echo chambers. And it's like they think that the way that they talk shit on Facebook and all their friends that are, the same age range, demographic, political leaning, and liking their things and reinforcing it in their comments, then they encounter a police officer or somebody else in the community. And now they got a little bit of extra where they feel like they can say shit like
That
that.
makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Can you see these videos of like random start of an encounter, like a cashier, right? Someone yelling at a cashier, "You trash that!"
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, they ask you to leave the store, just leave the store.
Mm-hmm.
Like, go to another Target.
Yeah, they feel like they're almost going to have virtual like buttons
Yeah.
and hearts like popping up around them. It's just like, what the fuck? Just shut up.
You need to add. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Just add virtual like, hearts
boom.
popping over
I
here.
bet you we'll see shit like that in our lifetime.
No, I mean like in your episode.
Oh, I
Like as
should.
soon as you say that, you should just put fucking hearts
I'll
going
see if
on.
I can figure it out.
Dude, I don't know how to do any of that shit, but yeah, dude, it's virtue signaling.
Yeah. Oh,
Virtue
it's
signaling.
and that's what I mean. We've been living that. I did want to ask you. So I saw you've got a Puerto Rican flag in your bio. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm Puerto Rican, bro. Boricua hasta el fin, ya tú sabes.
So I got to ask you, how offended were you by Tony Hinchcliffe and what he had to say about
Oh, dude,
Puerto
I was
Rico?
super offended. I was super offended that people are more pissed off about a joke than they are about the fucking trash situation in Puerto Rico. Like, I am super offended that people decide to virtue signal off a fucking comedian who's, I don't find him funny. Like, he said that joke and I was like, oh, okay. He was putting a dig at, like, we have a landfill issue.
Yep.
We have a land, and if you
I don't
don't
think a
know,
lot of people know that,
Google that.
right?
Google it. Google it. Not only that, like, Puerto Rico is used as such a pawn that our own people have turned on each other. And I'm good friends with Roberto Clemente, who spoke
Hmm.
for Trump. And dude, he's gotten so much fucking shit for his own political opinion. Like, at the end of the day, if I tell you McDonald's or Burger King, which one do you prefer?
Got to get some onion rings, bro. Burger King.
Fucking Burger King, dude? You're a
Hmm.
piece of shit. You mother, it's like
Yep.
you ask me, I answer, and you're upset. Like if you don't like the answer you're gonna get potentially, don't ask me
Don't
the
ask.
question. So how do I feel about that, dude? I think it's fucking silly. I think politics has gotten silly. I think it's all dumb. It's all dumb to me, right? Like every 4 years, we all get to choose who we want to lead this country. If our person doesn't get in, it's like, oh fuck, that sucks. I hope this dude who or chick who gets in
Does a good job.
does a great job.
Yep.
It's like a captain of a ship that you don't like, you hoping that the fucking ship sinks.
Yep.
We're all on this ship. Why are you wishing for the downfall? We all drown.
Yes.
Like,
Like, play this out.
like we all drown. Or a pilot, right?
Yep.
Like I want this pilot versus this pilot. Well, you get the one you don't want. Cool, bro. Strap in. I hope you fucking land us all right, man. I'm hoping for you to do this. Why are you gonna be like, oh, my pilot didn't get in? I hope this plane crashes with all of
Well,
us in
and
it. It's
not
like,
even just hoping it, walking up into the cockpit and assisting them to drive it
yeah.
into the ground,
I'm
right?
like, it's gotten silly, bro. Like this dude comes up, makes a joke, distasteful. I can understand. Like I don't live on the island, right? So I can't speak for the people who live on there who may have taken offense. But at the end of the day, like, what was damaged by that? What was like, what hurt you? Words have been hurting people too much lately.
Hmm.
And like, there was a saying growing up, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt me. We need to go back to that because,
Well, you got to go back though through participation trophies and all
yeah,
the things that,
dude, we've gotten
as
to a
time went
time.
on, I got a lot. I remember when that whole thing was happening, and a lot of people were like, "You're such an asshole. Why do you have a hard time if some kid that wasn't going to ever amount to anything in the baseball team gets a participation trophy?" And I'm like,
You're doing
it's
disservice to that
because you
kid.
don't realize where this is going. This is much bigger than that little kid getting a participation trophy. And by the way, he's not benefiting from it either because I was the kid at one point in time that didn't get the fucking trophy, and that, thankfully for me, and maybe I'm just lucky, it motivated me to make the changes that I needed to throughout my life. Being left out or losing has been one of the greatest advantages that I've ever had. I didn't always have everything.
Dude, losing is an advantage.
It is.
Losing is an advantage. Like, but it's an advantage if your mindset is right,
Yeah.
right? Like, I had these conversations with a few people who've lost fights recently, buddies of mine or teammates of mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're young. You have what it takes to get to where you want to be. Losing, unfortunately, is a part of that process. It's like you need to, I don't want to say mature because these guys are mature, but you need to understand that this is a part of the process and you can't want the outcome if you're not willing to do the process. This is part of the process.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go out and intentionally lose. What I'm saying is go out fucking kicking and screaming. And if you lose,
Learn from it.
learn from own it, right? You get to feel that. You went out, performed, did your best, and you didn't get the outcome you expected. You're entitled to feel how you feel,
Hmm.
right? Go through that with the understanding that there's something at the end of this. I can just be so beat up about losing, I quit. That's not an option, right? We throw that out. I can be so beat up about losing that I take time away from learning from this experience and bettering myself to get to where I want to be. Or I just feel what I feel and then start to work, start working again. Back in the lab, back to
Hmm.
the drawing board. Like, would you rather lose 2 weeks of moping around when you could be training, or you could be studying, or you could be whatever it is that may be that you're trying to pursue? You're trying to pursue.
It's scar tissue,
Yeah,
really,
like
it's benefited my life
losing,
so much.
losing is a privilege. Pressure is a privilege. Like, if you aren't pressured to do anything, what like you have no drive for it. Like, what if you're not pressure? If you don't feel pressure, there's no one's counting on you. No one's banking on you. Like, think about the opposite of that. If people were like, "Oh, you're sleeping in your bed all day," cool, good
What a
luck,
miserable
and they
existence.
leave, right?
Yeah.
Which, if you want to do that, you're entitled to. But think of the life of someone, your friends, right? Your friends are doing stuff, and then you call them, like, "What are you up to?" "Oh, I've just been laying in my bed all day." "Oh, cool, man. Have a good one. Bye." You're gonna be like, "Fuck, no one gives a fuck about me."
Hmm.
But if someone's like, "Yo, get off your ass. Go, like, let's start training. Let's start doing something. You lost your job. All right, let's start applying to jobs." That person is putting pressure on you. By putting that pressure on you, they're telling you, "I care about you. I know there's better for you. I know you're equipped for better. Why are you resorting to this?"
Mm.
Like, people take pressure as, "I hate it. It's bad." Dude, use it. Use pressure. Use losing. Use these lessons, right? Like, if you never lose, nothing is ever tested.
Do you feel like this is a big shift in society recently?
Oh,
Like
bro,
this movement
absolutely.
of like accountability, and whether it's guys that are at the far ends of the extreme like a David Goggins, but there's so much even before you get to that level
That
of
dude's nuts,
extreme,
man.
isn't
Oh, it's not. And I tell people, I'm like,
he?
we need David Goggins
Mm.
so we can know
What the farthest
what
end
the
of that
farthest
is.
is,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm not telling you to be David Goggins. I'm not telling you to be me. I'm telling you to learn from everything you see, good, bad, and in between. Apply to yourself to better yourself.
Yeah.
Like, whatever that may look like for you. But
That's the thing. When you
corporate
take it
world,
back to politics, when I see this, that's what makes me sick because people point out where people were wrong. And it's like a detriment. If you're a politician and you made the wrong decision in something, that's used against you. They'll put up commercials talking about Ish had this position or Ish did this when he was this role in the government. And it's like, man, I don't know. Maybe I'm broken, but I look at that and I think, okay, certainly was a bad decision. What'd you learn from that? How would you do things differently? And I think that, I mean, not to get political, but that when you've got a vice presidential candidate that can't acknowledge the things that are going wrong now, it's like she had a golden opportunity to actually take accountability and ownership. But we've created this culture in politics where I can't admit that I did anything wrong. And you can love Trump or hate him, but I heard him on several occasions be like, you know what? I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when I got into office. I brought in a bunch of people that I shouldn't have brought in around me. Won't happen again. This was the problem. This is what I learned from it, and this is what I'm going to do differently. I don't know if he's going to. I hope he fucking, and some of these appointments look like he actually learned from some of that, but
dude,
it was like
RFK being in charge of,
huge.
dude,
The
well,
Dodge, this whole Dodge thing with
yeah,
Vivek and
I like what they're
Elon.
calling it, Dodge.
It's like,
Like, love him or hate him, he's harnessed social media
yeah.
very well. But, like, back to what you were saying, wherever you may, we have gotten we have made politics a part of our identity,
Hmm.
and that is sad. Unless you're, like, in politics, but, like, I'll have conversations with people, and they disagree with me, and they're ready to fucking fight me, and, like old school-ish wants to be like, "Well, fuck it, let's throw down." Like,
Mm.
not for politics, but just because
Being
you being
disrespectful.
disrespectful, I'll smack the fuck out of you. Like, if we want to resort to violence, I am I am heavily equipped in that category. Let's fucking do it. Or if you want to have a civil conversation, let's do that. Like, don't fucking ask me my opinion and then lose your fucking mind because you don't
With
agree
some
with me.
condescending remark.
Yeah,
I've had a
like,
lot of those,
dude,
unfortunately.
like, don't ask me, because I'll have conversation. I'm friends with people who are on the left, the right, in between. I am associates with people on the far right and on the far left, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, those people I don't align with, so they're kept at arm's length. But I don't fucking if I just segment myself to one particular thing, I'm not open to all the information that's out there.
Yeah.
I'll listen to anybody. And I get into a conversation, I don't want to say argument, but I get into, like, a heated debate with a coworker of mine who is on the other side of my voting party. And he makes very valid points. And I'm like, I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, people are like, socialism, socialism, socialism. We're going to become socialists. And I'm like, well, yeah, like far socialism is, but like policing is a
Yeah.
socialist
Fire
thing,
department is a
fire
social.
department.
Yeah.
Like there's some things that we could define as socialist that benefit society. The military, kind of socialist. Everyone pays in to
Yeah.
pay the military. But we get so like, I'm on this side, so I have to agree with all these. I'm on this side, so I have to agree with all this. No one cares that they just have
There's
a
three types of
conversation.
people, right? There's low information voters on the right, low information voters on the left, and then there's these people in the middle that may take one side or the other, but it's based off of actually looking into things. And it's like I've got family members that are on both sides of the aforementioned, like uninformed on both sides, where I'm like, okay, you're uninformed and wanted to vote left. You're uninformed and wanted to vote right. You won on the right, and you think that it's because of what you don't even realize you don't know. It's like you're just lucky that the fucking right won. You're
Yeah.
no better than the people that are on this side that are uninformed as well. And honestly, there's some people who I probably disagree with the outcome of the election that I actually respect a lot more, even though they disagree with me, because they're at least doing the work to try to find out and they're willing to have a conversation. It's like just because you and I wanted so and so to win, the way you're approaching the people on the other side is just as bad.
Oh, I
And it's,
think, yeah.
it's like, it drives me
Yeah,
fucking
get off your
nuts.
high horse, pal. That's what I say.
Have some nuance, right? Like it's not all right or wrong.
Yeah, no, like especially in when we're picking, like think about this. We're picking someone to lead the free world, right? That's what we're
Yeah.
referred to lead the United States of America. We're picking someone to steer the ship. He doesn't control the ship. There's a lot of moving parts that controls the ship. He's steering the ship. And that's who we're picking. And our decision process is, oh, well, she's dumb. Okay, how is she dumb? Or he's mean. Okay, well, how does he mean? Well, it's like, oh, you don't even know what you're saying. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna have a conversation with you. You don't know what you're saying. Like she, there's not one policy she's bad. Like you start talking about why she's dumb or why he's mean. But now we're getting into like the meats and potatoes. But like when people were like, "You're a motherfucker," da, 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 you're picking a. This is another thing. He hates Puerto Ricans. I'm like, hold on. I'm Puerto Rican. I don't think he hates me. Maybe you know something I don't know.
Yeah.
He's racist.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's racist or he hates women. And then I said, well, it's interesting. Like he just appointed this woman as the chief of staff.
First woman,
He's only doing that because people know he hates women. And I'm like,
which takes away
but then
from her
yeah,
fucking
I'm
merits.
like,
Like
it just
that.
makes no sense.
But
That'd be like David Duke hiring a black guy to run operations for the Klan because he knows that the Klan is looked at as racist. I'm like, is Donald Trump a
would be a
classist?
strategic move.
Right, right. It's like, is he a classist? Maybe. Like I was looking at Mar-a-Lago. Like Mar-a-Lago as a resort was one of the first in West Palm Beach to allow gays, colored people
You ever hear his interview with in regard to that?
about Mar-a-Lago.
No, about like his opinion on gay people.
It's very pro-gay. He's
He
not
was just
like
like he's like, oh, I
it
like the
is.
gays. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not for me,
yeah,
but like, yeah, no, I like, but like, it's like,
yeah. Now it's like there are people on the
so
left
that
who are way
so that's
more
another thing. Like,
anti-gay.
dude, I got close friends who are gay, and we're so close that the jokes are there, and they're like, it's a good
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Not for me, but,
Some of the best senses of humor,
dude,
by the way.
yeah,
I've got
dude,
some gay friends
they're
that are
so
like,
fucking quick. I'm like,
yes,
yeah, I have met my match. I hate gays now. That's what I get. That's what I get told. I'm like, bro, what?
yeah,
I'm like, and then I'll do the whole I'm friends with it. I'm like, dude, some of the people I'm cool with, they're gay.
yeah,
Oh, that means that I'm like, dude, what are you saying? Like, look what you're saying. Like, you want to call him see if I hate him? He'll probably tell you the opposite. I make so many jokes, he probably thinks I fucking love this dude.
yeah.
Like we joke so damn much, he may tell you the opposite. It's actually got a thing for me. Like, miss me with that bullshit, dude. Politics has become a joke. Like, and then you get people who are very smart. And this is the way I look at it. there's smart people on both sides.
Yeah.
You can argue whatever point you want to make if you sound smart.
Mm,
Doesn't mean you are smart, doesn't mean you know what you're talking about, but you can sound smart. And both sides have mastered that, right? And it's like you start getting into this pissing match, and then, but if you sit back and you look and you're like, man, there's so much gas in the air, like it don't even matter.
yep.
Like at the end, they vote for who you want to vote for because of what you believe it's going to benefit you and your family
I
and
was
immediate
getting up
friends.
on Wednesday and doing the same thing either way. I may have had a different feeling inside of my mind or my heart, but my day was planned out on Wednesday, regardless of what the outcome of the
Oh, and
election
that's
was,
another thing I tell people, like if you're banking your future, your success
on one person.
on one person, there's a lot of things you need to be changing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you need to reevaluate because I'll tell you right now, whether Kamala got in or Trump got in or RFK got in or nobody got in, I'm gonna fucking fight tooth and nail to make sure I come out ahead and
Yep.
my family comes out ahead and my circle comes out ahead. I'm not
The last
banking
four
on
years
people
of
that
my
don't.
life have continued to traject an
Yeah.
upward, and it wasn't, I I didn't use Joe Biden being our president as a reason to not have motivation and get shit done. Honestly, I didn't think about it a lot. There were times where I was frustrated about certain things,
Yeah.
but there's going to be things I'm probably frustrated about over the next 4 years too. But it's just to your point, like move forward.
Yeah, like I don't understand tariffs. I don't like the sound of them. The little research I've done, I'm like, man, I don't know. I like to buy a lot of shit. I think I buy more stuff than I should. Like maybe I would get fucked on that. But again, I'll admit, like someone's like, "Oh, what are your opinions on his tariffs?" I don't really have one because I don't really understand his policy on that.
Yeah.
As of now, I don't know.
Yeah, I need to learn more
I need to learn
information.
more about
Yeah.
it. Like, and people cannot say that. People gonna say, "Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know."
Insecurity, man.
I'm not in politics. I'm not gonna fucking pretend to know. Well, how do you feel about his foreign policy? I don't know. I don't know. I think our borders are a little insecure. I think
I
I
feel
have a
like we're
stepdad who fucking worked for 10 years to prove himself to become a citizen, only for people to overstep him
yeah,
and get aid and get help, which has been proven. And I've seen it firsthand. And I'm like, dude, my stepdad
leaves a little bit of a sour
whooping
taste.
like working his fucking ass off for over a decade to gain citizenship because he's trying to do it the right way because this is the country he calls home now.
Hmm.
And then we got people just getting bussed in, staying at hotels. And it's like if that don't piss you off, but I understand I have that connection.
Yeah, and you can have this mindset where you think one thing's wrong, and also if I was living in Venezuela and coming to America was a better life, and it was like, fuck, you can kind of go there and just walk in and they'll give you a phone card and send you wherever you want to go. I don't fault the people that wanted to fucking come here.
Yeah, I
You
don't
know what I
either.
mean? Like
Yeah,
I,
I
I would be doing the same
I
thing.
agree with you.
It's
I
like
agree.
why?
If I was president, I'd be impeached. That's beside the point. But no, this is the way I look at it. Like I never talk politics in public, so this is interesting. This is the way I look at it. Like if you're here, I would start a vetted process, right? Like
Yeah.
because if you're coming here to better your life, you're gonna come here and be fucking around and taking away from the people coming here with the best of intentions and our citizens, catch the bus back. But if you come here, prove your worth, contribute to society,
The more the merrier.
yeah, like,
We
like
need more awesome people.
yeah, awesome people. Like,
Yep.
like if you're cool and you're coming here to work, like, dude, my stepdad, that motherfucker worked in literally fields, worked as a mechanic, also had an industrial job, working machinery, and then towed on the side. And then like working his ass off, right? He was doing all this shit around the same time. And then we have people, our own citizens, who get checks because I'm gonna fucking piss people off, but guess what? This is my opinion. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. People who get checks because they have anger issues.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what they tell to get the check, but that's what I've been told.
Yep.
I get checks because I get anger issues. I can't work.
Hmm.
But every day you out there like flipping houses, doing construction for cash.
Manipulating the
What do you
system.
mean you can't work?
Yep.
You working. Like, well, if I don't want to work, I could just not go. Wouldn't that be fucking nice?
Hmm.
Just call work. Hey, I don't feel like showing up today. Bye.
Bet your anger issues would go away if that check disappeared. You know, like,
You'll figure out how to deal with it.
yeah.
And that's the thing, man. Like, and then I see people literally, shit you not, I was in Erie and there was this man stocking shelves at Walmart with no legs. You're gonna fucking sit here and tell me you can't work? I was looking at something and I turned the corner and I almost fucking ran into him. He's like, "Oh, whoa, whoa, hey, low man down here." And I'm like, "Oh shit, my bad, dude." I'm like, "What are you doing on the ground?" Then I registered like his wheelchair is there, but he had to stock shit on the bottom and he's ripping it from the pallet, like from the bottom, which is fucking heavy, like all the
Yeah.
pressure on, boom, and stocking. And I'm just like, this fucking dude's out here getting it, out here getting it.
Hmm.
To me, I took it as like, so when I wake up tired or I wake up like I don't feel like doing something, I get to fucking walk.
Yep.
I get to do that. Not everyone has that luxury,
Yep.
And then I get into conversations with
You
people and
should.
they're like,
You should be thankful to just be able to get out of
dude,
bed in the morning.
seriously,
Yeah.
new day, new opportunity, man. Like everyone gets 24 hours, but how are you using it? Like, are you gonna wait? And I get it, man. You have bad days, bad times.
Yep.
You wake up and there's been days I've spent 8 hours just laying in bed, staring at my ceiling. It's very rare, but I can't say I've never done that.
I always say this saying, the hardest thing you've ever done is the hardest thing you've ever done. Right. So I try to use that both for perspective because I'm like, I'm a high output, high achieving mindset type of a person. I always feel inadequate. I just need to do more and I'm never doing enough. In my mind,
Guilty.
people might look at me and think that I think I'm full of myself. I look in the mirror every day and feel like, fuck, I'm insufficient. And I have a measuring stick that's based off of my experiences and it's based off of the hard things that I've done. That's now the new bar. And then there's other people that running a mile might be the hardest thing physically that they've ever done.
All
Where
right,
for me,
easy,
like,
easy on the
right,
mile, Shane. No,
right.
that is
It is.
hard.
It's like whatever it is, like the hardest thing you've ever done. So it's like
Yeah.
what you perceive to be the hardest thing, somebody else may perceive something that's easy for you to be the hardest thing. Now, that can give you perspective, but then I take a step back and I'm like, that doesn't make it all right for you to set a low bar. So it's like, how do you like it shouldn't mean that I don't understand where you're coming from, but it also shouldn't mean that you shouldn't try to increase your bar, right? And we're not all going to have the same high end of the bar, but we should all be trying, I believe, people would be a lot more fulfilled if not that everybody's bar is the same height, but that everybody's at least always pushing to try to make it better.
And that's the problem with society today. Your bar's here. We need to force everyone's bar to be here.
Yep.
No. Like, another thing, I'm on the spice today. I'm on that shit. Affirmative action. I think it's so unfair on both ends, right? Like, if I get put into a college because I'm a minority in Puerto Rican that I'm not ready or equipped to take, but they have to fill a spot. I go there. I'm not ready for this. I flunk out or I fail. Now what am I thinking? I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good enough. I was in the same school with these other kids. They made it. I didn't. Why was I failed? Someone failed me. Why was I even put in here? Like, people don't talk about that side of
Yeah.
things, right? Like, I'm a huge proponent of giving back to your communities, right? Like, when I make it, if I ever make it, God willing, first thing I'm going to do is go to the communities I grew up in,
Yep.
because that's my responsibility. It's my responsibility. It's not the government's, although, but anything the government has its hands on is probably shit. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything's half-assed, everything comes with red tape, everything, there's always an ulterior motive. Like, it's up to us, society, to bring up society. And if you have a problem with that, well, that speaks volumes of who you are and your character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, my one of my first goals
100%.
is to one, give back to my mom, and two, give back to the society I grew up in, the society that made me the person I am today.
It's the way that you have to look at it, right? I think nobody's coming to save you,
Yeah,
you know? And if somebody does throw out a life vest, awesome.
yeah, great, but that shouldn't be
Don't drown
expected.
because it's because you're expecting something to come flying off that boat, right?
That's a good way to look at it. Right now, today, we expect our issues to be handled for us.
So I'm just letting somebody know.
Like Ish talking a lot. This dude's going off on all
No, dude,
kinds
this
of
has been
shit.
great. And to the initial point when we got started, I had a whole bunch of things in my mind that I wanted to chat with you about, and we didn't talk about 80% of it, which means we're gonna have to do this again at some point in time.
Hey, I'm always
There's
down.
I've got way too many things.
Pick my brain. Just don't get lost in
Um, so Relentless Project.
it.
Um,
Yes.
where can everybody find it? Spotify,
Spotify,
Apple, YouTube.
Apple, yeah, YouTube. I'm trying to build up the YouTube now. But Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the major platforms. I mean, the host I use pushes it out to everyone. The relentlessproject.com, that's like the central hub. From there, you can find whatever platform you want
Has
to
that been a
use.
big help for you having like a centrally located
Oh
website?
yeah. Yeah. I've noticed like someone's like, oh, like I want to know more about
Just go to the website.
Justin. Here's the website. If you go to guest page, Justin has a page on there. It'll show everything. Like if someone listened to your episode and they're like, man, he was talking about what does he do? I know he had something to do with this industry, whatever. Go to your guest page, all your links are there, your website, your podcast, like everything's centrally located. Hey,
Mhm.
where can I buy your stuff? Go to relentlessproject.com, click on merch, get yourself some merch. That's a plug.
Get your merch.
No, but yeah, it's good because like it's like, oh, where can I watch your podcast? Oh, you can go on YouTube on this. Oh, where can I listen to it? I only listen to it. Well, go to Spotify and this. I don't have Spotify. Okay, go to Apple. Just be like,
Just
go
go
to
figure it out. Yeah.
relentlessproject.com. Whatever platform you use, you can find it on there, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, whatever. You want a list of the guests who've been on here. You want a list of the episodes who've been on here, but you don't want to listen. It's all on there. It's all on there.
That's awesome.
Yes,
This was a
sir.
lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, we've been going.
We have about an hour and a half.
Uh,
It's a good one.
I talk a lot.
I love it.
I
I
need to get
love
on
it.
my meds. No, I'm kidding.
I appreciate you doing it, man.
No, of course,
I know you're a
anytime.
busy guy. You were filming one before this, weren't you?
Yeah, Claire with Claire.
Oh, she just
So
had a big where was she at? She was at Pans?
yeah,
Yeah. I got to thank her for I was at an open mat and they were 8-minute rounds because they were going to Pans. I was like, you motherfuckers are killing me over
we
here.
were just talking about the CJI rule set, 5 versus 8.
Mm,
So yeah, just filmed with Claire this morning. Um, then I went home, grabbed the bite real quick, and came straight here.
I appreciate you doing it.
Of course, bro. Anytime, let me know.
Gotta get that level up high, right?
Shoot, man. Hey, if you aim for the stars and miss, you still hit high.
Amen.
But yeah, whenever you want to run back, we can run it back.
We'll do it for sure. I appreciate
Sounds
it.
good.